Oh, hey there. Come on in. We're just about to start. Welcome to My Wife, the Dietitian, a fun weekly podcast about nutrition and healthy lifestyle. I'm Rob, and together with my wife, Sandra, we invite you to join us on this informative and entertaining journey through the complex world of healthy eating.
Join us each week as we strive to help you with transforming your overall health and relationship with food through up-to-date, evidence-based nutrition information. Today, we're talking to Prajakta Apte, dietitian, gut health expert from Right Nutrition Works. There's so many gut health issues, and we're going to delve into what they're all about.
What I'm seeing in last 5 to 6 years that people coming to me with gut issues, maybe, from constipation to even as chronic as IBS or SIBO, I am seeing definitely an increase in number of people making phone calls to make an appointment or they want to learn more. And I feel that even in last few years, the research has shown that how gut health is important and how it is the seat for many different conditions that we can possibly experience in future if our gut health is not balanced. So definitely I see the increase in people complaining about gut issues.
Stay with us.
Welcome to My Wife, the Dietitian. Hello, Sandra.
Hi, Rob.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. We're talking to gut health expert, Prajakta Apte, dietitian today.
Yes, wealth of information, and definitely will clear things up.
Yeah, absolutely.
For people with those issues who I think by the sounds of it have a lot of questions.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions from our listeners about what do I eat for intestinal bowel disease, or I have IBS, what do I do? Is leaky gut a real thing?
Yeah, we're going to find out all those things today when we talk to Prajakta.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, here we go.
We're joined today with Prajakta Apte, dietitian for Right Nutrition Works is her business, and love to hear from Prajakta. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for inviting me on your podcast as a guest. I am so excited to talk to you guys and share my knowledge and what I know to your audience. So thank you once again. And I know you formally introduced me, but my name is Prajakta. I am a registered dietitian and I practice functional nutrition. I have my private practice called Right Nutrition Works. I am based in Phoenix, Arizona, and I am a gut health expert. So I help people struggling with digestive issues, help them get back to feeling normal in their body through the healing power of nutrition and healthy lifestyle modifications. So I strongly believe in treating the root causes to your problems and not just putting bandages on your symptoms, because we all know that those bandages come off quickly and then you start to get into the same problems and even more sometimes.
Totally. Oh my gosh, I love that. We have needed you on this podcast for quite a few weeks because there's a lot of listeners who have asked for information about gut health. So I'm so glad that you're on today. And we have lots of different questions to ask. And Rob, do you have anything top of your head to start with?
Oh, well, I was just going to say, you must be super busy because it seems like gut health issues are, I don't know if they're more common now than they used to be, or we just know more, like we're hearing more about it through social media, but it seems like a massive issue.
Yes, and I think I agree with you on that, because when I started my practice about 11 years back, of course, I was not into gut health completely at that time. I was just, starting my business. I want to get my foot in the door. But more and more I am doing my research and readings and learning about gut health overall, I think what I'm seeing in last 5 to 6 years, that people coming to me with gut issues, maybe from constipation to even as chronic as IBS or SIBO, I am seeing definitely an increase in number of people making phone calls to make an appointment, or they want to learn more. And I feel that even in last few years, the research has shown that how gut health is important and how it is the seat for many different conditions that we can possibly experience in future if our gut health is not balanced. So definitely I see the increase in people complaining about gut issues.
Yes, yes. Oh, I have seen that too. I totally reflect with what you're saying here because it's definitely more referrals from doctors about IBS or IBD, like Crohn's or colitis, or possible
Correct.
celiac, and
Mhm.
all these different conditions that are linked with gut health and the gut brain connection and the gut
Yeah.
microbiome. And actually, that's the question I want to ask. Number one, because we hear about the microbiome. And for the
Mhm.
listeners, I'm just wondering if you could describe what is the gut microbiome?
Absolutely. And I think that's the basic thing that we all need to know about what exactly this gut microbiome is. So I, uh, I try to explain it in a simple terms here, that gut microbiome is the community of microbes residing in our large intestine. And actually, we have live microbes all over our body. We have microbes on our skin, nostrils, ear canals, but the community of the microbes that live in the gut are called gut microbiome, and they are primarily residing in large intestine. And studies have shown that there are close to 40 trillions of microbes, with
Wow.
about 1,000 different species in this community. And imagine they are all live microbes. Now there are viruses, there are different kinds of bacteria, there is fungi, there is yeast, they all are living together. So
Wow.
in that community, I always say that there are some good microbes and there are some bad microbes. It's just like our society, there are good people, there are bad people, right? So good microbes are always striving to keep us healthy, and on the other hand, the bad microbes are always looking for the opportunity to create illness within our health. So,
Oh, yes.
Interesting.
Yes. I've
mhm,
heard of a reference I heard in one specialist say that it's like a forest and you want the
yeah,
diversity in the forest. Like our gut
exactly.
microbiome is like you got all the different
Yeah,
species of trees and bushes and plants and the
absolutely. Yeah.
greenery and just
Hmm.
all of the different bugs and insects and
Hmm.
wildlife. And then yeah, and then there's like maybe antibiotics or something that just like wipes a lot
Yeah,
of it out, or, something that
correct.
just wipes it all out. And then
Yeah,
that's where you have the dysfunction. But anyways, so
absolutely.
I'll roll back and let you keep talking about
Now,
your definition. Yes.
yeah, absolutely. What you said is absolutely correct. So, as long as we maintain the right balance within our gut microbiome, and I would like to say here that what is the definition of right balance? So right balance is when you have more number of good microbes as compared to the bad ones. That's called a balance. As well as when your gut microbiome has a wider diversity. So what you just said, that it's like a rainforest. So there are different types of species, and more species you have, more diversified your gut microbiome is, you have overall healthy, you feel mentally, physically, and emotionally healthy. So that is what the goal is, to have more number of microbes as compared to the bad ones. The good ones need to be always more, as well as you need to have a larger diversity. And if any one of these things are missing, that means your health is off track.
Okay. Okay. And that leads us into the second question. What are some common gut dysfunctions that your clients may be experiencing or the listeners? And I think you just mentioned how if you have more bad microbes or
Mhm,
bacteria that
mhm.
are kind of overpopulating and kind of killing out the good, or how does that
Correct.
work?
Correct. So absolutely. I mean, definitely when there is a imbalance that has occurred within our gut microbiome, whether it's a diversity or the number of microbes, the bad microbes, overpopulating the good ones, we feel that our health is not perfect. We feel mentally, physically, or emotionally off. And person may experience many different kinds of symptoms. Again, every person is different. So your gut microbiome is very unique. It's like a snowflake. Every snowflake is different, right? Something
Oh,
similar
I
to
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy. Yes.
Mhm. Something like that. Everyone's gut microbiome is very unique. Even the identical twins, studies have shown that they have a completely different gut microbiome. So
Wow.
every person who has some kind of imbalance within their gut microbiome is going to experience different symptoms. And many people, many of my clients even have asked me that, okay, but I'm not experiencing any digestive symptoms. Do you still think that I have a imbalanced gut? And answer to that is yes, because you could be possibly experiencing some digestive symptoms such as bloating or gas or constipation, diarrhea, or incomplete bowel movement where you go to the bathroom every day, but it's not complete bowel movement. You don't feel like you have taken everything out. In other words, some people will experience heartburn. Some people just have like some kind of a stomach pain or some type of discomfort all the time or cramps. And some people will just experience non-digestive symptoms, or it could be a combination. So non-digestive symptoms could be feeling extremely tired even after 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night. When you wake up in the morning and you don't feel like getting out of the bed or you feel tired, that's not normal.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. So it's there's the non-digestive symptoms could be also linked to mood or
Yeah,
other
absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Some other non-digestive symptoms are brain fog. People experience joint pain or just stiffness in their joints. Many different skin conditions, such as skin rash that comes and goes, or eczema that comes and goes, or acne, rosacea. Some people also experience mood swings or anxiety or even depression. So you don't necessarily need to deal with digestive symptoms, but it could be even non digestive symptoms. And many times it's a combination.
It sounds like you need to
Okay.
be a bit of a detective to figure this out. Like that's a huge range of
It is.
symptoms. It's wow.
Absolutely, absolutely. The other point I forgot to mention is many of my clients are also dealing with food sensitivities. So there might be some foods in your diet that are not being accepted, or your body is not agreeing with those foods, and you may have a reaction to it. Now, it is a food sensitivity and not an allergy. So, sensitivities generally are delayed reactions. So, after eating any food, let's say peanuts, if you are sensitive to peanuts, you may feel fine right away. But if you are having a sensitivity for peanuts, your body could react to those peanuts anywhere between 24 to 72 hours. And that's why food sensitivities are generally difficult to identify on its own.
Wow, I guess. Yeah, compared to
Mhm.
a peanut allergy, which would you'd have a reaction right away. Is that kind of what the
Exactly.
difference? Yeah, I see.
Correct. Correct. It's a right away reaction, or the reaction is kind of severe that you don't miss it. You may feel choking, or your lips may be swollen, or you may have hives all over your body. So there's no way you could miss it. But that's
Yeah.
not the case with sensitivities.
Yeah. Wow, that's
Mhm.
tricky to track.
I know it is tricky to track. And that's why I always tell people that you are feeling this way. You're dealing with a lot of different problems. You feel that your health is not tracked, but this is not that has happened to you overnight, or this is not that has happened to you in last month or so, but this was a process. And many times this process could have even started few months to even few years before you even realize that something is wrong with my health.
Oh my
Crazy.
goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
I had a case study recently of
Uh-huh.
a person in long-term care, one of the places I work, and the doctor suggested a gluten-free diet because he had this wound on his leg that would not heal with
Hmm.
whatever they were doing with the treatment of the wound. And once we removed the gluten and some of the wheat out of the diet,
Hmm.
over a couple months now, his wound is healing. And it's hard
Wow.
to know. You can't pinpoint for sure if that was the reason that it's healing, but it's at least, it's an interesting way. Like you said, you have this, a sensitivity, and then maybe the gut can't digest it, and then it affects
Yeah,
your whole body. It's a whole systemic effect. And
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. And I'm just wondering, I'm just thinking, is leaky gut a real thing? Because we've mentioned it a few times on this podcast, and Rob always says, "Oh, it's such a gross term," but is
Totally.
it real? Because I know there's some medical professionals out there that kind of think, there's it's not really a thing,
Uh,
but
right. And again, I mean, it's how you look at things from which lens, right? I still feel that conventional medicine practicing physicians or healthcare practitioners, they still don't believe in leaky gut, but functional medicine healthcare practitioners definitely do believe in leaky gut. There are a lot of research studies done on leaky gut is a real thing. So yes, in my opinion, it is a real thing. And the clinical term for leaky gut is increased intestinal permeability. So if you want to type this clinical term and do some research on your own, you're going to get a lot of information, some research links also if you want to learn more about it. But basically, this is a condition where the lining of your digestive tract becomes more permeable, it gets ruptured, it becomes leaky than it should be. So, to understand leaky gut, let's imagine the lining of your digestive tract as a protective barrier, like a tightly woven net.
mm,
Now, under normal circumstances, when there's no problem, this net like lining allows nutrients only from digested food to pass through and enter the bloodstream. So, when
Oh,
the
it's like a
lining is
filter.
Yes, lining is looking healthy. The nutrients only from digested food will pass through and they will enter in the bloodstream, while keeping all the harmful substances such as undigested food particles or pathogens or any kind of toxins, they will not allow to pass through.
that's in a normal functioning gut.
Correct. That's a
Okay.
normal, healthy gut. Exactly.
Okay.
So it acts as a selective barrier when it's healthy, controlling what gets absorbed and what stays back, right? So that's the healthy barrier. But when someone is dealing with leaky gut or increased intestinal permeability, the lining of this digestive tract becomes compromised. So there is rupture in that net, right? And then the tight junctions between the cells that make up the lining, it becomes loose and it creates larger gaps or even holes in that net. Now, what will
Oh,
happen exactly?
so that's why it's leaky gut.
Yeah, that's why it's
Yes.
leaky gut.
Okay.
And that's like a terminology that used by common people. But yeah, it's kind of leaky. It's leaking. There are holes. There are larger gaps. And because it's leaking and there are gaps, this allows substances that should stay within the gut to pass through these gaps and they enter in the bloodstream. So the undigested food particles can get into bloodstream. The
And that can
pathogens.
cause like a kind of an immune response. Is that right?
Exactly, correct.
Okay.
Correct. So when these undigested particles or bacteria or toxins, they get into bloodstream, they can trigger an immune response. The immune system perceives them as a foreign invaders and launches an attack, which causes inflammation and other related symptoms.
There we go. That inflammation
Wow.
again, Rob. We've
Yeah,
talked about
interesting.
that on a few episodes, eh?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
And there,
that is a great explanation, Projecta. It kind of my brain kind of was just picturing like my house's plumbing system and like the septic system like springing a leak or something, you know, and all the sewage spilling out everywhere, and it's kind of the same but in a different way, right? It's all inside
Yeah.
your body.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
oh, wow. Okay. Oh my gosh. So some of the causes then it sounds like would be, well, I don't know. What are some of the causes of
So
leaky
yes,
gut?
correct. So there are many causes, and it is very important to identify what is the real cause or a root cause of the problem, right? Because without identifying the root cause, it is hard for any healthcare professional to design a treatment plan for the individual. Because when it comes to gut healing, for that matter, I would say for anything, cookie cutter approach doesn't work. It shouldn't be a cookie cutter approach. It has to be a very individualized approach.
For
So,
sure.
absolutely. So, there are different causes, as I said. So, some of the causes that I want to highlight, which are important, are definitely the diet plays a big role. And the diet that is high in processed foods, refined sugars, unhealthy kinds of fats like trans fats, and diet that is low in fiber can contribute to gut inflammation. It can disrupt the balance within your gut microbiome. So definitely,
You're preaching to the converted here. Yeah, this is so true. I mean, it's like we've kind of trying to drill that message home that it's the
Mhm.
ultra processed food, the fast
Yeah,
foods, the deep fried foods, the
correct.
refined sugars, like all
Mhm.
those things, and the high glycemic index foods that if you're just eating a lot of those at the
Absolutely,
same time in a
absolutely.
meal, yeah, and low
Absolutely.
fiber.
So,
So
I tell people to when they are in the grocery store. I tell my clients to shop around the perimeter of the store and not inside the store or within aisles, because that's when you will see most of the processed food in there.
Exactly. That
right,
sounds
like the
familiar
shelf
too.
stable stuff, right? The
Correct.
shelf
Exactly.
stable and yeah.
Shelf stable. Correct. So all these poor dietary choices like refined sugars, unhealthy fats, processed foods, they can impair the integrity of your gut lining and can increase your risk of leaky gut. So as again and again, I'm saying that it doesn't happen overnight. It's the way how your lifestyle has been. It's the way how you have been making food choices that will all result in something in few months or few years. So nothing happens overnight. It is a process. The other contributing factor for leaky gut is chronic stress, ongoing
Oh,
chronic
which a
stress.
lot of people are under
Interesting.
chronic stress, that's for
I
sure.
think, yeah, I think many of us, because today's lifestyle is so busy, it's demanding, it's very competitive. I think we all are under stress. And if we are not doing anything about it, we are not helping our digestive system and we're not helping our overall health. So
Totally.
I tell my clients, even if you feel that you're not stressed, everything looks okay, it's definitely a good idea to kind of include stress management practices into your daily life. But definitely, this stress is like a toxin, and it prolonged periods of stress can have a very negative impact on your gut. Stress hormones like cortisol can disrupt the normal functioning of your gut barrier. It can lead to increased permeability or increased rupture of the intestinal lining. And additionally, stress can even alter the motility of your gut, and it reduce the blood flow to the digestive system, which further compromise your gut health.
Oh, and
Wow.
and it's really interesting to see that with your expertise, you're a registered dietitian and a registered yoga teacher. So you
Mm-hmm.
help address that for many of your
Yeah.
clients, I'm sure, with yoga. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
It could be yoga. It could be as simple as even deep belly breathing, some kind of meditation, anything that will make you feel calm and relax is very, very important. Now, the other important thing is whatever technique you find that works for you and you're enjoying and you really feel relaxed, we all need to stick to it. We want to make sure that it becomes a part of our daily routine, just like how we brush our teeth and take shower every day. It should be like that, and it should not be only done when you have a big project deadline coming up or someone in the
Yeah.
family is sick and your stress level is high. It should not be done only when you really feel that stress, but you should do it as a ongoing thing, because when you will really experience a stressful situation, you will be able to keep yourself calm without affecting your health if you're practicing daily stress management.
It's
Yes.
amazing
Oh,
how
I like that.
little we prioritize our mental
Mhm.
health.
Yeah,
Like we
absolutely.
work comes first, and like health is like, I'll go to the gym if I have time, or I'll
Mm.
do my
Mhm.
health routine if I have time. It's crazy. We should
Correct.
be putting it number one.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you on that. The other big factor or a causative factor for leaky gut is certain medications, such as non steroidal anti inflammatory drugs, antibiotics, long term use of antibiotics, or PPIs like proton pump inhibitors. They have been linked to increase intestinal permeability.
Oh, I just had a question just to
Yes.
kind of clarify this for Rob and the listeners. What are some common NS NSAIDs, and what are some common PPIs, just so that people can kind of
Speak the same
just
language.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So basically, long term use of Advil or
Hmm.
ibuprofen,
Hmm.
those will not be a good idea because they can put you at a high risk for leaky gut or rupturing that lining of your gut.
Mm.
The proton pump inhibitors, basically the acid blocking medications that you get over the counter, like omeprazole or pantoprazole,
Yes.
those will be, again, not a good idea to take it long term because they have been linked to increased intestinal permeability. And these medications can disrupt the gut microbiome. They can reduce the mucus production that is very, very essential for your gut lining, and it can even impact the tight junctions in your gut lining, which all can lead to inflammation and leaky gut.
Wow.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Okay, because I know on ibuprofen it does have a caution for risk of ulcers, like stomach
Mhm.
ulcers and bleeding stomach,
Correct.
and I think that is probably likely related to long-term use and possible leaky gut. It's like you were
Right.
saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the last big contributing factor I would like to talk about for leaky gut is environmental factors. So, environmental toxins such as pollutants or pesticides, heavy metals, even certain chemicals, like, for cleaning products that we use, even personal care products. All these chemicals can even have detrimental effect on the gut lining. These toxins can induce inflammation. They can damage the cells in the intestinal barrier, which can again contribute to leaky gut. So when it comes to environmental factors, I understand that we are surrounded by toxins, and there's no way we can completely eliminate the exposure to toxins, but we can certainly make efforts to minimize our exposure to environmental toxins by choosing organic fresh produce whenever possible, or using good quality air filters or water filters, using natural cleaning products or natural even personal care products. And these are the little steps we can take to reduce our overall toxic burden in our body, because if the toxic burden goes high, that can have a major impact on the lining of your gut, which can lead to leaky gut.
There
Wow.
you go.
Yes. Oh my gosh. There's just there's so many pieces of the puzzle, really.
Yes.
It's there's the lifestyle, like,
Oh
which
yeah.
is encompasses the environment that we live in, and also the products we use and buy, and
Correct.
it's
Correct.
all related. And so yeah, it's just about being like, it's learning about these things. So there's a bit of a learning curve for a lot of
Right.
people that haven't even thought about this. And
Correct.
then it's just like identifying small little ways that in your own life, your day-to-day
Mm-hmm.
living, where
Mm-hmm.
can you make difference, like change what you're doing a little bit, so that you're not exposing yourself to these environmental pollutants and toxins, the heavy metals, as you mentioned, and
Sure.
even like the cosmetics and the cleaning products. Like, that's a big
Yeah.
one.
Mm-hmm.
It's all
Mm-hmm.
related, and it all can contribute to problems with your gut biome, and having leaky gut,
Absolutely.
and then having, like,
Absolutely.
autoimmune diseases and cancer. And there's
Yeah.
all these
Oh yeah.
different
Everything.
chronic diseases linked in the future with having
Everything.
leaky gut.
Everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I always tell my clients, to reduce your toxic burden around you, start in your kitchen. I mean, take all the plastic containers out and replace that with either stainless steel or glass containers. Do not microwave anything in the plastic container. To begin with, I recommend people to use microwave minimally. I'm not saying that stop using it. I use it myself, but I make sure that if it's like only 30 seconds that I need to reheat something, I would probably use that. But if I generally try to, avoid heating stuff in the microwave for 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Anything
Mm.
above 1 minute is what I normally don't do. But even if we start within our kitchen, that will definitely be a first step towards healing and feeling well.
Right, right. That
Mhm.
makes sense. And it's more about the plastic leaking into the food in the
Correct.
microwave if it's in there
Hmm.
for a long time, and you can't
Yeah.
use stainless steel in there, and glass can't use that. So it's that little bit of
Yeah.
a juggling act there.
Yep. Hmm.
That's
Sure.
right. Oh gosh, those are really good key tips for people, like, to start in their kitchen in terms of reducing the environmental
Yeah,
toxic load. Just little
definitely.
things to do there. How would someone, like, after you identify root causes, how
Uh-huh.
would the leaky gut be treated? Like, is there a treatment, or is it just the small steps of change?
So, definitely, as you said, identifying the root cause is extremely important, because leaky gut treatment changes a little bit. Like, what is your contributing factor to leaky gut is what I will be helping my client to feel better. And sometimes I need to give more focus with their nutrition, versus other times they need more help with stress management, because that is the main cause for their leaky gut. But to kind of generalize some strategies here, definitely it's not just about one thing, but it's a combination of different things. It's like a puzzle, so you need to work on each and every single piece of the puzzle to make sure that the puzzle gets complete and it looks pretty afterwards, right? So
Right, right.
yeah.
I think it's tricky in our society, because I think a lot of people, they like a Band-Aid, like, they want a quick fix. They
Oh
want,
yes.
just tell me what to do, tell me what food to eat, and tell me what medication to take to
Exactly.
fix my
Yeah.
leaky gut. And it's
Correct.
not,
Correct.
it's such a big, there's so many factors, it's multifactorial. And like you said,
Uh-huh.
like, stress management might be the biggest issue. So I guess identifying the priority and
Uh-huh.
then working
Correct.
on that, is that
Right.
one? Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So I would say that, just to kind of summarize, when it comes to your nutrition, and if you feel that, okay, my diet is definitely not balanced, I'm not always making right food choices, you can certainly start taking some of the commonly identified allergens out of your diet, such as gluten, dairy. Try to stay away from processed foods. Try to stay away from refined sugars. You want to kind of focus more on a anti-inflammatory diet, which focuses mainly on whole grains, nutrient-dense foods, more fiber. Fiber is very, very important. It's a key because the live microbes in our gut microbiome, they are vegetarians. They do not like to eat meat. Again, that doesn't mean that you need to become vegetarian. You can still have your meat, but more focus need to be given on plant-based foods, variety of
Yes.
plant-based foods. So I tell my clients, make your diet 75% plant-based, because that way you're making sure that those microbes in your large intestine, in your gut microbiome, they get well fed. And if they are well fed, they're happy, and they're going to keep you healthy.
Yes, like with the fiber, right? Like from
Yes.
keeping them
Fiber.
fed with fiber, right?
Correct.
Okay, because you don't get
Exactly.
fiber in animal products. There's no fiber in
Correct.
animal products.
There's
Okay.
there's no fiber in animal-based products. Plant-based foods will have fiber. So you can start focusing more on fiber. Try to get good healthy fats in your diet, such as fats from avocados, walnuts, fatty fish like salmon, olives, or use of olive oil, because that will also make your gut microbiome stronger and healthy. And most importantly, adding a variety. So eat like a rainbow. When it comes to variety of plant-based foods, try to add various colors on your plate and not just stick with few foods or few fruits and vegetables in your diet just because you love them, your family loves them, they're easy to prepare. Try to go outside the box and then kind of explore what are some other options that you can include, because more variety you add, it will help you build a diversified gut microbiome.
Yes, just like that forest we were talking about, right?
Correct.
Like just all
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
variety of different plants and different, it's just like they have
Absolutely.
fruits and vegetables and whole grains and nuts and
Correct.
seeds and
Correct.
flax seeds and
Yeah,
walnuts and yeah.
even when it comes to using herbs and spices, try to include various kinds of herbs and spices. Just don't limit yourself to like just basil or salt and pepper and some rosemary here and there, but try to add various kinds of herbs and spices in your diet as well.
Oh yeah, I love that. We just had a
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
guest last week on about spice, and is that a reflection of our family's history of like all this
Uh-huh.
my spice cupboard? Like there's so many different spices, and that like reflects of who I am and where I came from,
Yeah,
because it like
sure.
spices are so culturally
Oh yes,
unique, and
correct.
yeah, and there's so many spices that have such great effects in the body, and they're like the
Absolutely.
antioxidant effect, and just
Yeah.
I love it. That's a great recommendation for people to kind of have, think outside the box and
Mm-hmm.
get more variety with
Yeah.
your plant foods, your vegetables, your fruits, your whole grains, and your spice, herbs and spices. That's a
Mm-hmm.
place that I think a lot of people don't focus on, especially if you don't cook or you don't get in the kitchen much. You don't think of
Correct.
the spices, but I think it's really key to good health and to flavor and
Yeah.
to variety
Definitely.
and taste and everything. So yeah, I
Definitely.
love that.
Definitely. Yeah. The other thing I want to mention here about the diet is fermented foods play a big role, and eating like sauerkraut or kimchi or kombucha, that will help you to develop a balanced gut microbiome. So if you're already not including fermented foods in your diet, start doing that. You don't need like a big quantity, just 2 forkfuls is more than enough, but make sure that you do that consistently every single day.
I love that. That's awesome.
Mhm.
So two
Perfect.
forkfuls of like sauerkraut or
Yeah.
kimchi or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
kefir or yogurt.
Yep, exactly. Yep, absolutely. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and if people are doing that, do you think they would need a probiotic supplement? That's the question I get asked a lot.
I Okay. I mean, here is what I I always say, and I know people, many of at least my clients I've seen that they have kind of this misconception is, okay, can you suggest me a probiotic? I know that when I take probiotics, my gut will get fixed. I'm going to start feel better. But it is not all about probiotic. And when you're really suffering, when you're really having some symptoms, you're dealing with food sensitivities, or you have like a diagnosis of SIBO or IBS or colitis, whatever it is, probiotics alone will not help you, get your gut health to the next level. It will not give you 100% relief from all the symptoms, and it will not fix your gut 100%.
Right. Especially if there's other issues, like you said, like the anxiety or stress, or if
Correct.
you're taking
Exactly.
medications, or if
Mm-hmm.
you're, relying on it, or if you have
Right.
antibiotics that you have to
Right.
have, and all those other factors affect. And like the probiotic supplement is one piece of the strategy, but it's not, like you
Yes.
said, it's not going to be the end
No,
all be
no.
all like
Right.
fixer.
Right. So if you ask my opinion, if you are really dealing with kind of unhealthy gut, and if you're having any symptoms, any conditions, then you probably need probiotic supplements, but those supplements will come little later in your healing journey. First, you need to fix the problem. And then once the problem gets fixed, then you can start taking supplements, the probiotic supplements. But then later on, eventually the goal has to be that how you can get the probiotics in a natural way through fermented foods, or kimchi or kombucha or kefir, yogurt. Those things will definitely should be a part of your diet. I tell my clients to continue taking probiotics, maybe just more of a maintenance. So maybe you want to take it just a couple times in a week, or if you're traveling or during holidays, when you know that you're not going to follow the exact same routine, and your lifestyle is going to be a little bit different. You're probably having too many party invitations, and you have guests in town. So maybe during that time, it's a good idea to take regular probiotics. But when you are kind of having your normal routine, try to get it naturally when your gut health is in a balanced state. But if it is not, then many times people will need supplements to kind of boost their gut health.
That makes sense.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. And actually, when you said about going out and partying and seeing friends, that was actually one question we have. We always ask all of our guests is what dish would you bring to a family potluck or a friend's gathering? Is there like a certain dish that you would make at home that, or even pick up on the way to the party?
Good question. And there are a couple that I can think of, but honestly, what I really like, and it's kind of easy to make, and plus it is healthy, and it can definitely serve as a dessert, is chia pudding. And chia pudding and chia seeds, I'm sure many of you already know, but if you don't, then you get those in the grocery store. They look more like poppy seeds, but they are a little bit bigger than poppy seeds. And when you put these seeds in some kind of moisture, whether it's water or milk or even juice, which I normally don't recommend juice, but milk and water especially, they will swell up, and you can make chia pudding out of it. It is a great source of B vitamins, a lot of fiber. It is very anti-inflammatory, and you can make that chia pudding. You can make it more versatile by adding some peanut butter, or maybe putting some chopped strawberries or even blueberries. The other day I made chia pudding. I had a guest over, and I actually added some rose petal jam in there. So I sweetened that with honey, but there was a rose petal jam that I got from Indian store where I normally do my groceries, and it tasted so good with little bit of saffron on top. So you can have it kind of chilled out of the refrigerator. It takes about 4 hours to set, and it's really a dessert, as well as I call it as a healthy dessert, so you don't have that much of guilt after eating
That's
this.
awesome.
That sounds delicious. Oh yeah, I love chia pudding. I actually use yogurt or
Mhm,
kefir as
mhm.
the liquid, and then put the
Uh-huh.
chia seeds in, and then it sets. And like you said, I do it like an overnight oats, like overnight in the fridge. But I
Exactly.
love that. So 4 hours,
Right.
and oh, and
Yep.
those are so interesting. The jam, the rose petal jam, and
Uh-huh.
saffron.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, yep. It was delicious, and you can even make it in any non-dairy milk like coconut milk or almond milk or even oat milk.
True.
You can even add like a teaspoon of flaxseed powder in it, which gives you additional fiber, but it also helps to kind of set it firm. So you know,
Lots of tricks.
wonderful. Oh, yeah, yeah, lots of tricks, exactly.
yeah.
Oh, I love
Mhm.
that. That's oh my gosh. That wow, I really appreciate all that information that you've given to our listeners today. Like just such a huge amount like there's so much to the gut biome and the gut
Mhm.
microbiome and all the problems that people can have and the symptoms and the way that they can start to identify root causes and the way to help with those. And my goodness, it's such a comprehensive episode, even in this little, 30 minutes. It's just amazing. I think it's just the tip of the iceberg, really. Like there's just so much to know. And you have a podcast, don't you?
Yes, I do have a podcast,
What's it
and
called for
it
listeners?
yes, it is called Your Gut Health Puzzle Made Simple. And
Great title.
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Featuring Detective Prajakta,
Yeah, detective, that's awesome.
right?
Finding the
Solving
root
all your gut
cause.
health problems.
Yes, finding the root cause. You are making me feel like I have a big lens in my hand and
I
I'm
was going
looking
to
for the
say, big
causes.
magnifying glass, and you're, yeah,
Yeah.
classic.
Right. Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes projecta. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
No, we're going to put your podcast, like a link to your podcast in the show notes too, just because I think that because you have a lot of episodes and you cover different things, like all these
Mhm.
different, like the leaky gut, the mind gut
Mind body
connection.
connection. Yep,
Yeah, the
absolutely.
microbiome. Like there's just and SIBO, which is small intestinal bowel overgrowth. Rob, for you always say, I
Okay,
don't
yeah,
know what
thank
you're
you.
talking about. SIBO.
Yeah, that small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Yep.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah. So there's just so much, and it's wow. Because we have had tons of questions over the last year and a half from
Mhm.
listeners about gut health, and I think this is just like a little bit of the tip of the iceberg in what is out there in terms of gut health and how to help and how to support people. And I think it's a long journey for people that have problems with any of these symptoms that you're mentioning. It's identifying the root cause and then trying to piece together, small daily habits to improve their health and their overall health and hopefully their gut health.
Yep.
But yeah, this has been super comprehensive and really interesting. And Rob, do you have any last questions?
I was just going to ask Projector where people can find you. You have a website and some social media pages as well, right?
Yes, so I have a website. It's called rightnutritionworks.com.
Okay.
And you guys know about the podcast. And then I am also on Instagram, and my Instagram handle is Right Nutrition Works. So you can find me there. I share daily tips and kind of, share any evidence-based research that I have come across, if I have done any reading. So definitely follow me, learn more about the gut health, how to take care of your gut and nurture your gut. If you have any questions, send me a DM. I will be more than happy to help you.
Perfect.
Yeah, and
That
you
sounds
have
awesome.
courses, don't you? You have courses, you see
Uh-huh.
people one-to-one, you see people in
Yep.
groups, you have so many things that you offer
Yes.
to help support your client population. And you can
Yes.
do remote work. Like someone
Mhm.
anywhere can connect
Yep.
with you and
Correct.
That's amazing. Oh, I love to hear that there's help for people out there, and it doesn't have to be, in the same city that you live in. It can, be, it's a remote thing. So
thanks to
wow,
COVID, right? After pandemic,
Exactly.
I think world has come so closer, so you don't feel the distances anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Well,
yes.
Thanks so much for joining us today, Prajakta. I think you've kind of opened that box and explained a lot of the mysteries, I guess, that people who have these issues are probably feeling. And it's like, why can't, they're looking for that simple solution, but now they kind of understand, okay, there's, it's a bit more in depth. There's no simple solution. And yeah, maybe they'll be able to check out some of your resources and find some answers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Rob and Sandra. It was my pleasure talking to you, and I really enjoyed sharing my knowledge with the audience today.
Oh,
awesome.
Thank you so much on this sunny day. And we really appreciate that we were able to connect. And we definitely look forward to talking with you again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now we all know a little bit more about the gut biome.
Yeah, that was so much information. It definitely cleared up things for me. There's so many different ideas floating around out there about the gut biome and leaky gut and intestinal issues. So, we scraped the surface, but we definitely cleared up a few things, I think.
Scrape the surface. That's kind of gross. I'm thinking of like a fit test, like the smear. Anyways, so we did look at, we talked about the factors that may disrupt our gut biome and cause leaky gut, foods to limit plus foods to include. And we want to direct listeners to Prajakta's podcast and website, and we'll have that in the show notes.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of information there too. So definitely worth a listen if that's something that you're struggling with.
Yeah, information and support, because there's groups, there's webinars, there's one-to-one, there's ways to connect with Prajakta that you can get specific support for your issues.
Yeah, that's perfect. Awesome. So what are we working on for next week?
Next week, we have the Craving Change Program creator, dietitian Wendy Shaw.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, that will be another really eye-opening episode.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
And then also on Wednesday, we'll have our mini midweek episode, Nutrition Nuggets, coming up.
Right, and it's a surprise this week.
It is.
Mostly because we don't know what we're doing yet. So be sure to check out the website. We've got new stuff up there all the time. That's mywifethedietitian.com. You can email us your questions if you have any at mywifetherd@gmail.com. And we've got new posts up on Instagram and Facebook every week. And don't forget to rate and review the show. That's always helpful for us.
And check us out on YouTube. I love the videos and the shorts.
Absolutely. Forgot about YouTube. How can you forget about YouTube? All right. Go have a good week, everyone. And we will be back Wednesday and then again next Monday.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for joining us today on My Wife the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.